Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Warren Kobovit. I'm the Strategic Partnership Representative and Account Executive for N4V for North America. First off, I want to introduce a number of the teammates that I have on the call here. You'll see myself as well as Dallas Marks, our Senior Consultant Extraordinaire. Dallas is going to be the voice in your head for the majority of the call today. You have joined us for our Why SAP Business Intelligence 2025 Deserves Your Focus Innovation and Business Impact webinar. Before we get started, I'd just like to have a few housekeeping items. We would like you to submit your questions via the chat. However, don't submit them yet. Please submit them in the chat after we separate into a number of groups, which we'll explain a little bit longer, in a little bit as we go through. So again, please submit your questions via the chat, but not quite yet. We will be recording this webinar and we will post it to our resources page of our website, as we have done in the past. For those of you who are on our call right now and have attended our webinar, you'll be receiving an email from us with a link of the recording after our webinar has finished. Our webinar today will run approximately 35 to 40 minutes, and we hope that you can stay with us for the whole webinar. If not, you'll have a link to the recording. As we have done in the past, we would like to know a little bit more information about you. In order to do that, we have created this survey. Now, there's several different ways that you can access this survey. Jean-Bernard has just put into the chat a link to the survey. You can also use the QR code that you see on the screen with your mobile device, or just below that is the link to the survey that you can copy and paste. We would love to if you could take just a few minutes and answer those questions for us. This helps us in a number of different ways. This helps us to understand a little bit more about you and your environment. It helps us to create timely as well as more content as far as our webinars are concerned. So this really does help us quite a lot. If you could please just take a few minutes. Looks like we have a number of responses coming in, people from Paris, Germany, Ohio, and the Netherlands. Do you already know about Need for Viz? 82% of you are saying yes, that's great. Which SAP Business Objects version are you using? 76% of you on 4.3, fantastic. And which tools do you have implemented in your organization? So a lot of you have SAP BI, some of you have Power BI and so on. Fantastic. So if you can continue to add to that, that would be great as we continue on here. So the goal of our webinar today is to give you an insight into Business Objects BI 2025. And the title of our webinar, again, is why SAP BI 2025 deserves your focus, innovation, and business impact. Again, our goal is to share with you as a partner and expert on SAP Business Object Solutions our thoughts on the key innovations expected in BI 2025, as well as potential business impact and what we think is a good strategy for a seamless transition. So again, we're going to talk about key innovations, business impact, strategy for a seamless transition. Then we're going to break into two different groups, a client session and a partner session. At that point, we welcome your questions in the chat, and then we'll get to those questions and so on and so forth. Some of you might have seen this article written by Dallas Marks with respect to, is business objects still relevant in 2025? In answer to that question, Dallas has created his blog within the SAP community site to answer that question. To us at Need for Viz, an SAP partner, the answer is a resounding yes. And at this point, I would like to turn the presentation over to Dallas to speak about BI 2025 and the blog that he's created. Dallas.
All right, thank you, Warren. So if you have read the article, thank you. If you've not read the article yet, would really appreciate it if you check it out and maybe like it or even contribute a comment to the discussion on it. But we definitely feel that business objects is still relevant in 2025 and we are literally counting down the 48 days to when we can get our hands on the software. So um, let's talk first about the key innovations in the in BI 2025. The first key innovation is a roadmap. And those of you who've been with SAP for a long time know that for a while, just the mere existence of a roadmap for the future was something that was missing. And so about 2 years ago, SAP announced first it was BI 2024, became BI 2025, and BI 2025 is a reality. So on March 12th, you are going to be able to download the software from the SAP support portal. BI 2027 has already been announced and appears on the roadmap. And we are expecting BI 2029 to be announced by SAP sometime in the first half of this year. So just the mere existence of a roadmap. Of course, you can run business objects on premise. You can run it in SAP's private cloud edition. So if you choose, I'm sure many of you today, even though you're quote unquote on premise, you're probably running business objects in AWS or Azure or Google. All right. Next observation, end user experience has been a priority for SAP. So both in the user experience and both in the performance of the platform, things like how fast documents load. This is the first release of business objects that's going to allow us to design a report to a canvas size. So up until this point, we've kind of thought of web intelligence as something that you design to paper and that you pick the paper size. There will be several built-in canvases. So whether you're designing something that's intended for full screen or a tablet or mobile, there's going to be predefined canvases that you're going to be able to design to. There's going to be new exploratory widgets that are not available in BI 4.3, and these widgets are going to be based on SAP UI5. So next slide, please. So the user experience is at the forefront, and I know a lot of end users look at web intelligence and they're like, oh, that's kind of dated. And a lot of that was addressed with the Fiorified look and feel of BI 4.3. And we can see that that continues. And it's not just that it's pretty, it's that it's efficient. And you can see in the screenshot that there will be a left side panel joining the panels that were moved over to the right in BI 4.3. And it's going to make a lot of operations that are frequently used a lot faster. And so you're going to have higher productivity. And again, all the legacy widgets that you know and love, some new ones provided by SAP. And we'd like to mention that there are over 70 widgets in N4V for Webby. And so we'll be showing you a demonstration towards the end of this webinar today. And the other thing that's in BI 2025 is a new capability of offline use cases. So you're going to be able to take what's called a web intelligence document extract. You're going to be able to download that to your computer. You're going to be able to unplug from the enterprise. And whether you are on a flight, whether you are on the moon, you're going to be able to pop open your laptop and take that static extract and interact with it, completely disconnected from business objects. It should be noted that that extract is going to be at the time that you make it, and it is static, and it is for a specific canvas size. So maybe you're downloading it for your laptop, maybe you're downloading it for your phone. Okay, next slide, please. Another interesting capability is what's going to happen on the BI Launchpad. So right now it's just a bunch of tiles for folders and reports. In BI 2025, there's going to be tiles for KPIs and also for charts. And so you're going to be able to pin things to your homepage that are of use to you, and you're going to get ready access to those visualizations without having to also pop open some kind of document. And whether you're here on the Launchpad or whether you're in Webby itself, there are faster load times both for the tiles and the documents. So again, it's not just prettier, it's faster. And who doesn't want that? So we see 4 key innovations that we're really looking forward to at Need for Viz. One is the data mode. So data mode was introduced in 4.3, but it was kind of limited. But what data mode does is it brings data preparation and data cleansing tools into the web intelligence interface. So that's pretty significant because there are other solutions on the market where you need a whole separate tool to prep your data. So bringing this in is really empowering the end user and empowering them from a single tool that they already mostly know how to use and love. There's going to be the enhanced user experience. And so everybody loves it when they're able to get work done in less time. The enhanced user interface, it's not only beautiful, there's been a lot of care put into optimizing your common operations. As we've mentioned before, there's Canvas support. So the kind of a transition for web intelligence. You've always been able to build a dashboard with it, but now you're actually getting support from the product and being able to design to a canvas as opposed to a piece of paper. And then finally, the web intelligence document extract that allows you to take your information and interact with it to go. All right, next slide, please. All right, now there are going to be some business impacts, and a lot of these are already based on what customers are doing with the current version of the platform, but let's take a look at some of these. So the first thing is that the classic universe design tool and the UNV universe format that this supports, it will not be in BI 2025. So if you'll remember, the new UNX format was introduced 15 years ago, believe it or not, with BI 4.0. And they said that at some point in the future, the classic format won't be supported. So a lot of you have already switched over to the UNX format. If you still have content that is using classic UNX universes, or you have a lot of reports pointed to those universes, there are multiple third-party tools on the market that are aimed at helping you do this in large batches. And so we certainly recommend those. Now, even though the UNX format is carried forward, the multi-source UNX universe is not being carried forward. So this was a feature that sounded great at the time, 15 years ago. Unfortunately, if you have built a multi-source universe, there's not a tool to convert it to single source, not one that I'm aware of. It's totally possible that maybe SAP is going to surprise us with a conversion tool. But if you do have multi-source universes, you're going to have to rebuild them manually as a single source universe. Business Objects Mobile. It is being retired at the end of 2025 for all versions of the platform. And you won't need the mobile app because the UI for even BI 4.3 has been designed to be supported on mobile browsers. And that's going to continue but BI 2025 is officially the first version of the product that will not support Business Objects Mobile. We would like you to take a look at our N4V for Publisher, which allows you to publish a dashboard in HTML format without any loss of interactivity or drill-down capability, and I'll be showing that to you in just a moment. Live Office. It is not making the voyage to BI 2025, and some of you probably attended our webinar last month where we showed that N4V Publisher could be used to bring dynamic data and charts into Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, and to be able to do that without a plugin. And so if that sounds interesting to you, if you have recurring weekly, monthly, or annual reports, and you're doing a lot of cutting and pasting of pretty charts into a Word document or a PowerPoint, we have a much more automated and simplified way to do that. So definitely go to our resources page and check out the recording of last month's webinar. Now, N4V for Webby, as its name implies, is a tool that extends the capabilities of web intelligence, but there are a couple of minor points here for Crystal Reports users. So Crystal Reports is known and beloved by all its fans, and it is going to BI 2025. However, Linux support is not. And in fact, if you're already on BI 4.3 SP3, I believe, and higher, it's already not supported on the Linux platform. So for those of you in large enterprises that are running Linux, you simply need to add some Windows servers to your Linux cluster for supporting Crystal Report scheduling and so forth. So just something to be made aware of there. And then lastly, Crystal Reports for Enterprise, also introduced 15 years ago with BI 4.0. It was originally going to be the future of Crystal Reports, and instead, the classic Crystal Reports is the one that's moving to BI 2025, and Crystal Reports for Enterprise is not. So if you are using Crystal Reports for Enterprise today, Crystal Reports 2020 has already been updated to allow you to support all the use cases with Classic Crystal, and you can open up your Crystal Reports for Enterprise in Classic Crystal, rejigger the connection, and off you go. And then lastly, Lumira. So Lumira is something that is fully supported on BI 4.3. However, in BI 2025, Discovery, which was more the end user version of Lumira, that is not going to be supported in BI 2025. Lumira Designer, on the other hand, which is kind of the more technical dashboarding tool, it will be supported, but it's worth noting that neither of these tools have really received functional updates. They've been under patch support certainly, but they haven't been getting new and useful features. And here again is where really for both use cases, we recommend that you take a look at N4V for Webby. We provide up to 70 widgets, which is way more than either of these tools provide. And whether you're on 4.2 or 4.3, you can begin using our solution today, and it will seamlessly transition to BI 2025 when it's supported. Okay, so definitely some business impacts, but largely based on where the market was going. So let's look at what kind of a strategy do we need for a smooth transition. Now, every business object customer uses their platform differently, and so certainly everybody's going to have to evaluate, what the nuances of their upgrade are going to be. But there's some general themes here, and the first thing is you're going to want to do a full inventory of existing systems and reports. It's always a good idea to retire as much content as you can before any upgrade. And there's the BI platform support tool, which sort of does a pretty good job at this. There's also some very interesting third-party tools that help you with metadata and auditing your report collection. The second thing is you're going to need to train your teams. So this is not going to be as dramatic a shift as from when we went to BI 4.2 to BI 4.3, but it is a shift. And even though the interface is easier to use, the key thing is it's different to use. And so you're going to want to have a plan so that your users understand the changes in the UI and that they feel just as productive, if not more so, in BI 2025 compared to whatever they're using today. We do recommend that you migrate to 4.3 if you're on an earlier version of Business Objects, even if you're not rolling that out to users, even if that's just a step in your migration path. And the reason for that is BI 4.2 is no longer under patch support. So by upgrading to BI 4.3, you ensure that you're moving from a supported version to a supported version. So if you have any issues at all, you're able to open up a support case, and SAP is able to help you because both your pre-upgrade and your post-upgrade or on something that they're currently supporting. Lastly, you're going to want to prepare for migration now, and there's no need not to wait for BI 2025. You can begin using N4V for Webby today and take advantage of all of the beautiful capabilities that it extends web intelligence with. And again, supports 4.2 and even 4.3 today, and we will be ready for BI 2025 on day one. Okay, next slide. All right, so we really feel that the combination of BI 2025 with N4V for Webby is truly a winning combination. So you can see that BI 2025 will add some unique and new capabilities to the platform, but some of these capabilities, because they are new, they will be kind of limited. And there are some capabilities in N4V for Webby that are really exclusive to our add-on. And again, they're things that you can begin using today. They're not really contingent on when you decide to upgrade to BI 2025. Okay, with that, I think I'm going to pass the baton back to Warren, and we will be moving into breakouts shortly, and we'll be offering a demonstration here in just a couple minutes.
Thank you, Dallas. Take a breath. That was a lot. So, ladies and gentlemen, at Need for Viz, we believe the following. BI 2025 makes Webby intelligence modern in today's analytics landscape. And N4V for Webby is the ultimate web intelligence upgrade. If you are a current N4V customer looking to transition from 4.2 and 4.3, your investment in your current reports and dashboards will transition smoothly when you upgrade to BI 2025. If you are not currently a customer of ours, there is no need to wait until BI 2025 to enhance your reporting and dashboarding capabilities with N4V, as Dallas has shown us. So at this point in time, we're going to break into two different sessions, as I have alluded to and Dallas has mentioned. We're going to have a client session and a partner session. When you registered for the webinar, we asked you if you were an SAP partner, consultant, or influencer, or a current customer of SAP Business Objects. So at this time, based on your answers, we're going to switch into two groups. Again, one for customers focused, where Dallas is going to do a presentation and a demonstration on our solution, as well as the Business Objects Partners track, which I'm going to be talking about becoming a N4V partner. So just in a few seconds, we're going to be migrating you over. This will not hurt. And once you get into that particular room, if you have found that you've been put into the partner track and it's not where you want to be, simply raise your hand at the top of the screen. You'll see right next to chat, Q&A, people, and raise your hand, and the staff in France will migrate you over to the opposite one that you are currently in. So for those of you who may not be aware of our feature set, I wanted to quickly review the N4V solution. So we obviously, as you can see, we're a 4-in-1 solution. We've talked a lot about our widgets, 70 plus widgets, which integrates new data visualization components and navigation features enabling advanced dashboarding in Webby. Our N4V maps, which allows the integration of offline and online maps and custom plans directly into Webby, as well as our analysis, or which is an advanced pivot table, basically, for in-depth data exploration, as well as our N4V publisher, which was the topic of our last webinar in December, which is designed for distributing information outside of Webby, such as HTML5 document and so on.
Okay, so we are inside of BI 4.3, and again, this is a prototype that we built with the American Red Cross, and it is going to show you all 4 of the capabilities of N4V for Webby. So I've moved my Webby to be full screen, and so let's start by talking about the visualization components. So what I have here is a dashboard that is going to allow people to analyze the donations that are coming in to the charity. And the charity is organized by region and by chapter in the United States. And they want to be able to analyze the donors according to their marital status, their gender, and their race. And so all that information is available. And we start at the top by with some KPIs that are of interest to the whole organization. So we can see on the left-hand side, top left, that we have some monthly KPIs, and they tell us that this month versus last month, everything is moving in a positive direction, and we're actually in the green. But if you look over on the right-hand side, where we look for the entire year is moving in a downward direction. And so we want to build some analysis capabilities into our dashboard that allow us to more fully understand those KPIs. Now, I'm based in Cincinnati, and so that is the Central Atlantic region. And so I have on-screen navigation controls that allow me to focus. And so the whole dashboard has refreshed, and I'm now looking at Central Atlantic. The numbers have changed, but the trends have not. Monthly is doing great, annual not so much. And so I'm going to use the drill bar chart in the bottom left-hand corner, and we have organized this by kind of a proprietary, grouping of donors. Okay, and so that's something kind of unique to the Red Cross. But I'm going to look at our mid-core donors, and if I can drill down. And the great thing about these components is the drill down is not based on any kind of drill down that you put in your universe or not. You're, as the designer, you can specify any kind of ordering of dimensions that you want to drill by. So it's very powerful, very easy to set up because you don't have to do anything in the universe. Okay, so we can see male versus female. Roughly the same amount, not really much of a difference there. But if I drill down on female, I can see that there's quite a gap in between what single females give to the American Red Cross versus what married women are giving. And if I go look at males, I can see pretty much a nearly identical trend. Okay. And so what this dashboard allows me to do is understand the demographic breakdown of where our contributions are coming from. And perhaps we need to, as an organization, we need to make some tweaks to how we do our marketing and where we do our marketing and where we plan our external events for fundraising to get more donors who are single. Okay. Over on the other side, I have got our timeline control. This is very powerful, and there's nothing like it out of the box in Web Intelligence. So I've got some date controls up at the top. And so I'm in control as a user of how large of a window of time that I want to look at. And I've got a great scroll bar across the bottom. And so this particular component has been designed to let me look at the donation amounts as well as the number of donors. And I mentioned earlier we used AI to generate the data. That was the cool part. The bad part was it's really kind of regular. So when the it kind of all goes up and down in unison. But that said, notice we've got a lot of interactivity here. We've got tooltips, and as a designer, you really have a lot of control over how all of these things behave. And as a user, somebody who didn't design the Webby report at all, you really have a lot of information here. And as I'm going to show you at the end, using a custom element like N4V for Webby, it's just as easy as if you picked a bar chart or a pie chart out of the Web Intelligence collection. Okay, so this is inside of Webby, and the next thing that I want to show you is our HTML export. Okay, so one of the cool things about our HTML export, so this is completely disconnected from business objects. It's completely disconnected from your data source. And so when we publish the HTML5, it has all the data set aggregated at the level needed to fully run the dashboard. So all the drill down paths are supported. All the data that's available to the time series control it's all in there and it's all available to me. Apologies for that. I want you to also notice that our HTML5 is fully responsive, okay? And if you look at BI 4.3, it is not. So if I start shrinking my screen in BI 4.3, nothing happens, okay? It's still full size. I need to scroll around, but if I change the screen size, so you wouldn't normally do this at your desktop, but imagine that instead of your desktop, you're on a tablet, for example. Well, I can shrink this down and it will responsively automatically adapt to the fact that I'm on a tablet and that the amount of screen real estate is different. I can go even further, and something around that size is good for my iPhone. And so notice that once again, the HTML is responsive. It is something that's going to look great on a mobile device. And even things like my radio buttons, which would have taken up a lot of real estate, they've automatically turned into a drop-down box to make it that much easier. The other thing you should notice when you export something to HTML, because there isn't the additional latency from business objects or your database, this is a lot faster experience. So for example, if I filter on Central Atlantic again, the refresh time for that is a lot quicker than it was in Web Intelligence. And likewise, if I drill down back into my mid-core and to analyze my users. Okay, the next thing I'd like to show you is our analysis capabilities. And again, this is something that you've never seen in Web Intelligence unless you have the N4V for Web product. This is a full-blown pivot table, and it's inside of Web Intelligence, or in this case, it's been fully exported to Excel. And so you can see on the left-hand side, I have all of my chapters for the Central Atlantic region. And I also have a drill down from core to gender to marital status to race. And I'm looking at the donation amount and the donor count. Now, what's amazing is the toolbar. This toolbar is not there for report designers. This toolbar is here for users. Now, as a designer, I'm in control of whether that toolbar appears and what features of it that I want to expose. But as a user, this is fantastic because if the data that I want to see isn't in front of me right now, or it's not organized in the way that I want to see it, I'm in full control as a report user to make this look completely different from what the original author said. And so let's take a look at this. So for example, I want to focus on the donation amount. I'm not interested in the donor count, so I'm just going to right click and say that I want to remove that measure. And also, what I want to do today is I'm not really interested in our core groupings. Remember what I originally said was that we were noticing not a lot of difference between the genders, but based on marital status. So I'm going to set the drill down path for my pivot table. I'm going to put marital status first, followed by gender and race. Okay. And so I'm going to apply. And so there's my drill down path. And so I can also filter. Okay. So I'm based in Cincinnati, Ohio, literally in real life. And so I want to just see today, I want to look at the greater Cincinnati area, the greater Columbus area, which is our capital in Ohio, and also the Miami Valley office, which is the name of our Dayton office. Okay, so I've filtered the results down. So I've got just the chapters that I want. I've changed the hierarchy, and I could change the measures out as long as there's something that's already part of the Webby document. So this is the pivot table part of the analyzer. I can also add a chart. I can either have all table, all chart, or I can have both of these things. And so the chart is going to respond based on how I've interacted with the drill mounts. Okay, and so it's really it's up to me, and I can totally fold things up at the top and then do drill down analysis. And so my chart, if it provides me value, it keeps in perfect sync with what I'm doing over on the pivot table side. Once I'm finished, I'm also able to get at the data, and I'm also able to get into Excel very quickly. Okay, so that's our data analyzer. And the next thing that I want to show you is our third capability, geomaps. And so this particular map, we have 8 different components. And so it really depends on what you are doing. We have offline as well as online maps. Online meaning they need to use Google, they need to use Esri to do some kind of lookups. And so usually you have a license from the mapping provider that gives you so many lookups per your contract. We can also do completely offline maps. So imagine this. Imagine you have a production facility and you want to see bottlenecks in your supply chain in your facility. So you can actually create a custom map with custom regions, and you can actually build a dashboard that's showing you the layout of your manufacturing facility, and you can have different KPIs and indicators showing you where problems are occurring. So a map for us doesn't necessarily need to be geographic in nature. And we have several clients. One that's a builder of luxury yachts, and they actually use a report, a dashboard that shows which parts of the yacht are ahead of schedule, behind schedule, and so forth. Okay, I'm a fundraiser for the American Red Cross, and I told you that I'm in Cincinnati. So once again, I'm interested in the Central Atlantic region, and the divisions each have their own color code, and also the Legends interactive, so I can get rid of divisions if I want to, and see where things are at. And I'm going to focus on Cincinnati. And so there I am. And the size of the dots, as you might expect, is the circles, is the amount of donations being made. So very quickly, I can see the relationships between the physical locations as well as the donor amounts that are coming in. And location analytics, it really permits you to look at your data in new ways. So seeing it visually like this, I can decide, do I have good geographic coverage? Should I have more chapters? Maybe I should have fewer chapters because they're too close to each other, or they're not bringing in the financial results we expect. And I can certainly do that with a spreadsheet or a table. This is just a lot better. And I promise that the next time we do a webinar, it won't be in the middle of winter. So thank you for bearing with me. Now, one of the requirements of my dashboard here is that we want our directors to be able to travel from office to office and easily get directions. So I'm going to generate directions from my greater Cincinnati office where I'm at now. And going to Alaska would be very, very interesting, but it would take me over 2 days. It's more likely instead that I'm going to go to our Miami Valley office in Dayton. Okay, and so I can very easily see that's going to take me about an hour to do that. All right, so what we have seen today is that N4V for Webby, it's not just a pretty face of 70 widgets, it's mapping both online and offline, it's powerful data analysis, and it is offline HTML5 that can be accessed without a business objects license, is responsive HTML, and it provides full interactivity as to what I have in Webby natively, and the HTML can be refreshed and updated out of cycle. and kept up to date with my data source if desired. So,
well, thank you everybody for attending. I know that we went slightly over time, and I appreciate you sticking around, the 50 plus of you that have. So on behalf of the team, we'd like to thank you for your attention and adding to our webinar today by asking your questions. As a reminder, we'll be posting this webinar to our resource page of our website. And for those of you that are here and have stuck around to the end, you're going to be receiving a link after we've finished with the link to the recording. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. And on behalf of all of us at N4V, we want to thank you for attending and wish that you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.